In Vedic astrology, the concept of karikas plays an important role in determining the deeper purpose and trajectory of an individual's life. Among them, the Amatyakaraka holds a distinctive place as the planet that signifies the means and resources through which a person achieves their life's purpose. It is derived using the Charakarika system, a unique method that assigns different planetary significators based on their degrees in a natal chart. The Amatyakaraka is the planet that holds the second highest degrees among all planets in the chart, second only to the Atmakarika, which represents the soul's ultimate goal. The word Amatya in Sanskrit translates to minister or advisor, and Karika means significator. Together, Amatyakaraka can be understood as the planetary influence that serves as a minister or facilitator, guiding an individual toward fulfilling their destined purpose in life, which is indicated by the Atmakarika. Just as a king, Atmakarika, requires a competent minister to execute his vision, the soul's journey is supported and directed by the qualities and influences of the Amatyakaraka. It indicates the profession, career, and activities that help an individual establish themselves in society and achieve their goals. The Amatyakaraka is deeply linked to one's vocation, professional growth, and ability to make an impact in the world. It reveals the skills and talents that a person can harness to navigate their career path successfully. It also provides insights into the type of work environment, authority figures, and mentors who will play a role in shaping their journey. The dignity of this planet, its placement in the horoscope, its aspects, and conjunctions with other planets further refine its effects, influencing whether success comes easily or through struggles and challenges. One of the most significant roles of the Amatyakaraka is determining how a person finds success in their professional life. Since career and financial stability are fundamental aspects of an individual's identity, the Amatyakaraka holds immense importance in career astrology. It helps astrologers analyze the native strengths and potential fields where they can excel. Whether one becomes an entrepreneur, a politician, an artist, a scholar, or a government official, much of it is influenced by the planet occupying the role of Amatyakaraka. It reflects the kind of education and skill development that would be beneficial in achieving career goals. The influence of the Amatyakaraka is not limited to career alone. It also affects the support system in an individual's life. This includes guidance from mentors, the role of family and friends in career development, and even unexpected events that facilitate or obstruct progress. Depending on the dignity of the planet holding this position, the support received can be either constructive or challenging. In some cases, adversities associated with this planet may serve as catalysts for growth, pushing individuals toward greater achievements despite hardships. Another important aspect of the Amatyakaraka is its role in shaping leadership qualities and decision-making abilities. The planet holding this position can indicate whether an individual is suited for positions of authority, public service, or creative independence. A strong Amatyakaraka often grants the ability to influence others and take on responsibilities that require strategic planning and execution. If the planet is afflicted or placed in a weak position, it may indicate obstacles in achieving professional success, conflicts with authority figures, or delays in career growth. The Amatyakaraka plays an important role in timing major career-related events. During the planetary period, dasha, or major transits of the Amatyakaraka, significant developments in career, recognition, financial gains, or professional challenges are likely to occur. These periods often serve as turning points in an individual's journey, bringing opportunities or hardships that redefine their professional direction. The sign and house placement of the Amatyakaraka further refine its influence. The house it occupies shows the area of life where its energy manifests most prominently. For example, if placed in the 10th house, it strongly supports a career in leadership, government, or public service. If found in the 5th house, it may indicate success through creativity, education, or performing arts. Similarly, the zodiac sign it occupies influences the nature of the profession. A fiery sign like Aries or Leo may push the individual toward leadership and competitive fields, while an earthy sign like Taurus or Virgo may direct them toward finance, agriculture, or technical skills. Another layer of analysis involves studying the interactions of the Amatyakaraka with other planets in the chart. If conjunct or aspect by benefic planets like Jupiter or Venus, it enhances career prospects and provides support from influential figures. If afflicted by malefic planets like Saturn, Rahu, or Ketu, it may bring delays, struggles, or the need for hard work before success is achieved. The nakshatra in which the Amatyakaraka resides further deepens the analysis, revealing subtle psychological traits and tendencies that influence professional choices. Ultimately, the role of the Amatyakaraka in Vedic astrology is profound and multidimensional. It acts as the bridge between an individual's personal aspirations and their worldly achievements. By understanding this planet's influence in the natal chart, one can gain deeper insights into their career path, challenges, and the type of support that will help them reach their highest potential. Whether success comes easily or through trials, the guidance of the Amatyakaraka ensures that an individual is equipped with the necessary skills, experiences, and relationships to fulfill their destiny. With this context in mind, let's delve into the predictions for Amatyakaraka in different houses. When the Amatyakaraka, representative of career karma, duties, and practical implementation of soul's purpose, falls in the first house of a Vedic birth chart, it significantly alters the landscape of one's personality and life direction. The first house, or Ascendant, represents the physical body, identity, personal choices, and the lens through which a person views the world. So, when such a karmic and duty-driven planet occupies this space, it fuses the native's identity with their sense of purpose, work, and achievement. In many ways, the individual becomes their career. Their sense of self is not separate from what they do in the world. It is one and the same. The self and the path are tightly interwoven. These individuals tend to have a very strong sense of mission, right from a young age. They may not always have clarity on the exact field they wish to pursue, but there's a deep, internal awareness that they are meant for something significant. This placement gives a person an intense drive to make something of themselves, to carve out a role that is entirely their own. The self-made theme is prevalent here. They are often unwilling to follow paths laid down by others or bend easily to external influence. Advice, even from well-meaning mentors or family members, is often taken with skepticism, if at all. They deeply believe in their own judgment and prefer learning through experience rather than instruction. Because the Amatyakaraka deals with worldly responsibilities, and the first house is the anchor of the chart, their entire life structure can revolve around work, purpose, and recognition. These people may find it difficult to relax or detach from their goals, even for short periods. Work is not merely a means of income, it is the very engine that gives their life meaning. As such, they tend to be extremely determined, often becoming overachievers or workaholics. The desire to leave a mark, to be known for something substantial, burns brightly in them. They have the capacity to build something from the ground up and become known or even iconic for it, because who they are is reflected directly in the work they do. In many cases, they literally become their own brand. Whether they work in business, entertainment, spirituality, or politics, there is often no separation between the person and the path. If the Amatyakaraka is Mercury or Venus, they might become public figures, influencers, writers, or performers, roles where personality and presentation are everything. If it's Saturn or Mars, they might be known for discipline, strategic leadership, or pioneering efforts. In all cases, their career path often feels personal, even autobiographical. There is very little they do without full investment of self. This can be their strength, but also a vulnerability, because failures or slow progress are taken very personally. They may equate setbacks at work with a crisis of identity. Respect and recognition are not merely nice to have for these individuals. They are almost essential. The ego becomes very tied to success, and this can make the person highly sensitive to criticism or competition. On the flip side, this same drive often pushes them to excel, outdo themselves, and become singular in their field. Many self-made entrepreneurs, thought leaders, or creatives who built an empire with their name or personal style fall into this category. What others call obsession, these individuals experience as devotion to a higher calling, even if that calling is deeply rooted in material ambition. Interestingly, they tend to dislike subordination. They are not the kind who enjoy working under others or following rigid systems. They prefer autonomy, leadership, and freedom to define their own way of doing things. This independent streak is often what drives them toward entrepreneurship, consultancy, or personal brand-based work. Even within companies, they are usually the ones who quickly rise to leadership or break away to start something of their own. Their approach is often trailblazing because they don't see why they should follow when they can lead, even if that means failing first. Their confidence, bordering on stubbornness, is both a source of incredible power and a lesson in humility over time. Because this placement ties the Amatyakaraka, one of the strongest indicators of karma, to the self, the entire life of the individual becomes a platform for executing karmic responsibility. It's as if the soul incarnated with the full intention of channeling all personal energy into fulfilling its worldly duties. If the chart as a whole supports this, such as with strong 10th house or Amatyakaraka placements, then this individual may become a master of their craft. They are the ones who, through sheer force of will and self-belief, climb heights that others can only imagine. The desire to leave a legacy, to be remembered, to embody their role fully is central to their life story. Relationships and personal life can sometimes take a backseat unless other supportive yogas exist. Since identity is merged so deeply with career, It can be hard for these individuals to switch off and invest in non-goal-oriented relationships. There's often a subconscious fear that investing in others will dilute their own power or distract them from the mission. Once they mature and begin to understand that the self is vast enough to contain both ambition and intimacy, they may evolve into deeply loyal and inspiring partners, especially if they find someone who supports their goals rather than competes with them. In some cases, this placement can give a person a lone wolf vibe. They may appear distant or overly focused, especially in early life. They don't necessarily intend to isolate themselves, but their fierce sense of self-direction can make others feel excluded. This is especially true if the Amatyakaraka is malefic or placed in a challenging sign. They may struggle with delegation, teamwork, or compromise, believing that no one can execute their vision as well as they can. This is a lesson they must learn if they are to grow from a personal brand to a legacy that can outlast them. Spiritually, this placement shows a soul that came here not to hide behind societal roles, but to live its destiny out loud. Even if they don't identify as spiritual, there is a karmic seriousness to their existence. They feel as if something greater is always propelling them forward. If spiritual planets like Jupiter involved, they might even integrate purpose and personal growth into a holistic life mission that transcends material boundaries. In that sense, they might eventually become guides, role models, or mentors for others walking similar paths. Overall, having the Amatyakaraka in the first house makes the entire life a living testimony to karma, purpose, and self-realization through work. These individuals are wired to express themselves through what they build and do in the world. Their identity is their vehicle, and their soul pushes them to embody their role with full awareness and intensity. They may fall and rise many times, but with every fall, they gather more insight, and with every rise, they grow more defined. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet that signifies career, professional responsibilities, and karma, occupies the second house in a birth chart, the individual's entire life path and ambitions become deeply intertwined with themes of family, wealth, speech, values, and self-worth. This is a placement that indicates someone whose career and dharmic role are either rooted in or significantly influenced by their early environment. The second house, in Vedic astrology, governs family lineage, accumulated resources, communication style, traditional values, and how one sustains themselves. When the Amatyakaraka is placed here, these themes become the foundation upon which the native builds their worldly success. Such individuals are often born into families where work, business, or material matters are emphasized, perhaps even revered. In many cases, the person grows up observing entrepreneurial pursuits, management of assets, or a culture that values education and stability. These early impressions leave a lasting mark. Even if the native eventually forges a unique path, the seed of inspiration is usually planted within the family. There's also a karmic bond with the family itself. The soul may have chosen to incarnate into a family that either supports their material evolution or presents challenges that push them toward developing a sense of value and responsibility on their own. A strong possibility exists that the native may inherit something, whether it is a family business, land, wealth, or even just a set of skills passed down through generations. They may feel a natural obligation to contribute to their family's stability or prestige, and in doing so, they end up finding their own voice and direction. This is a placement where one's career karma becomes the vehicle to elevate or preserve the family's legacy, even if indirectly. On the flip side, if there are afflictions to this house, it may indicate early struggles with family values or financial hardship, which serve as the driving force behind the person's relentless pursuit of security and recognition. The use of speech becomes an especially important tool for these individuals. Whether they are artists, speakers, singers, lawyers, teachers, or business people, their voice, literal or symbolic, is a key part of their success. They are likely to develop a communication style that is both persuasive and influential. People listen to them, not just because of what they say, but because there's a strong sense of value and conviction in their words. If Mercury or Venus is involved as Amatyakaraka, this effect is even more pronounced, adding charm and finesse to their speech. With Jupiter as Amatyakaraka in this house, wisdom and moral clarity often shine through. Another hallmark of this placement is the connection between career and self-worth. These individuals derive a great deal of confidence from their work. Their accomplishments and material security become mirrors through which they assess their personal value. This is not to say that they are superficial, but rather that they see material success as a tangible representation of inner competence and responsibility. As they rise in their field, their self-esteem often strengthens. During times of career uncertainty or financial instability, they may experience deep emotional lows. For them, professional identity is not just external, it reflects their internal measure of success. With Amatyakaraka in the second house, the soul has come into this life with a deep desire to build, preserve, and accumulate. The native understands that resources bring freedom, that money is a tool, and that sustainability is power. They are often good at saving, investing, or creating systems that ensure long-term security. Many with this placement are drawn to finance, banking, food industries, speech-based professions, or any domain where value and structure are essential. They may also be attracted to legacy-building activities, such as estate planning, family trusts, or institutions that preserve cultural or familial wealth. Interestingly, this placement often brings the desire to uplift others materially, especially their family. They may spend a significant part of their life ensuring that their parents, siblings, or children are provided for. The sense of duty they feel toward their roots often translates into practical acts: buying a home for the family, supporting a sibling's education, or starting a family-run enterprise. Even if they move away from their family geographically or ideologically, they remain connected in some way to the idea of sustaining or improving their family's condition. In some karmic cases, this placement suggests that the individual has unfinished responsibilities from a past life toward the same soul group and has returned to fulfill them. Because the second house also governs values, these individuals often carve a career that aligns with their ethical framework. They are not usually the type to pursue something that feels hollow or meaningless. Even if the job is financially rewarding, they need to believe in its purpose. Their internal sense of what is right guides their choices, and if the Amatyakaraka is a naturally dermic planet like Jupiter or the Sun, this becomes even more pronounced. Their life becomes a process of merging material goals with spiritual or moral clarity. When it comes to relationships, this placement can have a dual impact. On one hand, they are very giving and loyal to those they consider family, often acting as providers. On the other hand, because their career is so tightly interwoven with their concept of value, they may struggle to find balance between work and emotional intimacy. They can unintentionally place their career at the center of everything and expect others to support that focus. If their partner does not understand their need for material and professional stability, friction may arise. Yet when their partner or close family supports their ambitions, they thrive, often returning the favor tenfold with love and generosity. From a spiritual standpoint, Amatyakaraka in the second house brings the soul into contact with themes of nourishment and legacy. There is a deep, often unconscious desire to feed others, not just literally through food or resources, but emotionally and karmically, by providing a strong foundation. This native is not here to simply earn a living. They are here to understand how wealth, values, and voice can become tools of dharma. The deeper journey for them involves balancing material gain with spiritual wisdom, learning that true value comes not just from accumulation, but from how that accumulation is used. Over time, the native evolves from being a seeker of value to a creator of value. They become someone whose name carries weight, whose opinion is respected, and whose legacy, material or ideological, lasts long after they are gone. Whether they start with support or build everything from scratch, their path leads them toward becoming a pillar in their chosen field or community. Their karma in this life is to understand the power of substance, to build stability for themselves and others, and to recognize that wealth, when aligned with purpose, is one of the greatest tools of dharma. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet representing career, authority, and how you serve the world, is placed in the third house of a birth chart in Vedic astrology, it gives a clear indication that your professional life is deeply linked to your personal initiative, self-effort, and how courageously you express yourself in the world. This placement weaves your ambitions and karma with your communication skills, your ability to take risks, and how well you function in fields that require mental agility, flexibility, and social intelligence. Your career is likely to involve some level of movement, storytelling, message sharing, or expression of ideas. At the heart of this placement lies the quality of effort. Unlike placements where karma comes through inheritance or sudden luck, the third house insists on earning your rewards. You must take charge of your own path, no shortcuts, no passive waiting. Individuals with Amatyakaraka in this house often work their way up in life through trial and error, through putting themselves out there, hustling, networking, and finding their own voice in an otherwise noisy world. That voice, in fact, becomes important, whether it's through writing, public speaking, broadcasting, digital content, or even through sales and marketing. You're meant to project your thoughts and ideologies to a wider audience. Because the third house is ruled by courage, parikrama, and ruled naturally by Mercury, your professional life may involve verbal dexterity or intellect-driven work. If Mercury or the Amatyakaraka itself is strong and well-placed, it magnifies your ability to speak and influence. You may be someone who writes books, blogs, makes videos, manages communication teams, or runs an independent venture that depends on active networking. You may thrive in media, advertising, journalism, digital marketing, YouTube, podcasting, or even event planning. The more you put your thoughts into a public domain, the more your karmic rewards begin to unfold. There is a strong entrepreneurial edge to this placement. The third house governs short travels, business, siblings, risk-taking capacity, and ambition. When the Amatyakaraka lands here, you might find yourself drawn towards side ventures, freelancing, or even serial entrepreneurship. These individuals often do not want to be stuck in a 9-to-5 rut unless the planet involved suggests otherwise. For example, if Saturn is the Amatyakaraka. Instead, they are likely to be their own bosses or at least function in industries that provide them with a degree of creative freedom and flexibility. You may even start a business with a sibling or a close friend, or gain assistance and motivation from your immediate environment. Another dimension of this placement is the role of your networking skills and social contacts. Since the third house is trinal to the 11th, the house of gains and social circle, it enables you to grow professionally through the people you know. Your colleagues, friends, and even social media contacts might play an important role in expanding your reach. Opportunities may come to you because you know the right people, and because you maintain these relationships with care and charisma. This makes you someone who should stay connected, build bridges, and consistently update your circle, not just for personal satisfaction but because your destiny itself supports growth through networks. Intelligence and adaptability are two more important traits granted by this placement. People with the Amatyakaraka in the third house often learn fast, retain information quickly, and are curious by nature. They enjoy reading, discovering new topics, and developing multi-layered skill sets. This sharp intellect may make you appear knowledgeable and mentally ahead of your age, especially in youth. You're the type who can master a subject and teach it to others within a short period of exposure. That quality makes you especially successful in fast-moving industries like tech, media, publishing, and communication-based roles. Because the third house is also associated with competition and rivalry, this placement can also invite challenges, especially from peers or coworkers who feel threatened by your progress. You may need to learn how to deal with office politics, backbiting, or a hyper-competitive environment, but at the same time, this competition fuels your inner drive. You work best when you feel challenged or when you're trying to outperform a past version of yourself. You'll likely notice that your biggest achievements happen right after a phase of intense struggle or resistance. Again, a reflection of the third house's emphasis on self-effort. The influence of the planet acting as Amatyakaraka matters greatly. If the Amatyakaraka is Mars, your profession may involve strategy, assertiveness, physical activity, or engineering. If it's Mercury, then writing, analysis, trade, or intellectual services become highlighted. A moon Amatyakaraka here can make you emotionally invested in your work, possibly drawing you toward content creation or counseling. A Saturn Amatyakaraka could make you a tireless worker, although you may have to endure a slow rise. Venus as Amatyakaraka could suggest design, arts, or media-related work, possibly involving fashion or luxury services. Each planet modifies how this third house karma manifests. From a karmic lens, this position suggests that in a past life, you may have failed to express your voice or hold your ground amidst challenges. Perhaps you suppressed your opinions, avoided conflict, or lived under the shadow of another. In this life, the universe pushes you toward greater self-expression. You're supposed to discover and own your perspective, to cultivate bravery not only in speech but in action. Every bold move you make, every time you push past fear, you're aligning with the soul's career karma. If the Amatyakaraka is aspect by malefics or placed with Ketu or afflicted by Saturn, you may have initial hesitation in speaking up or fear of rejection. This discomfort is the very arena where your spiritual growth lies. As you break those blocks, your voice will begin to carry weight and wisdom. You may also be drawn to motivational speaking, coaching, or teaching, where your personal struggles serve as testimonies for others. Relationship with siblings may be tied into your karmic professional path. Either you work with a sibling or someone like one in your career, or issues with siblings push you to take certain bold decisions. Sometimes the sibling can act as a competitor, mentor, or even a mirror reflecting your own insecurities and talents. Learning to navigate sibling dynamics with wisdom and boundaries is part of your third house journey too. Ultimately, with Amatyakaraka in the third house, your life story becomes your professional fuel. You're here to convert your experiences into teachings, your voice into a platform, and your struggle into a strategy. The stage is your classroom, whether it's an actual audience, a digital screen, a printed page, or a boardroom. You are not meant to sit silent. The moment you begin sharing, writing, or creating from your own authenticity, doors open, opportunities multiply, and your destiny activates. This placement insists that you dare to speak, dare to act, and dare to rise. When the Amatyakaraka, the significator of career, status, and authority in one's destiny, finds its placement in the fourth house of a Vedic birth chart, the karmic map of your professional life is drawn through the themes of home, emotional security, roots, and inner fulfillment. The fourth house is not merely the house of physical property or comfort. It is a deeply emotional and psychological domain. It represents the heart of your life, your upbringing, sense of security, mental peace, and emotional well-being. When Amatyakaraka enters this domain, your career path becomes inextricably linked with how safe, nurtured, and emotionally aligned you feel with what you do. Success cannot be measured by outer titles alone. It must resonate with the inner being. This placement creates a strong gravitational pull toward professions or career environments that feel familiar, nurturing, or domestic in some way. You may be drawn to work that is either physically based around the home, such as real estate, interior design, architecture, or working from home, or emotionally rooted in caring, teaching, healing, or guiding others. Your professional identity evolves not from a desire to dominate the external world, but from an urge to cultivate a life of emotional alignment and personal authenticity. You value peace over prestige, comfort over conquest, and emotional resonance over cold professionalism. One of the hallmark themes for someone with Amatyakaraka in the fourth is that work and home are often intertwined. This may manifest quite literally. You could work remotely, run a home-based business, or have a job that allows you to be close to your family or within your comfort zone. In other cases, your workplace may feel like a second home to you, or you may bring a nurturing, maternal, or emotionally intelligent energy into your professional environment. The typical cutthroat, competitive corporate world may not feel aligned unless other planets in the chart push you in that direction. Instead, you're likely to excel in environments where emotional intelligence, personal care, or cultural roots are emphasized. This position can also highlight karmas connected to the mother figure or whoever acted as your primary nurturer growing up. The kind of emotional support or conflict you experienced at home plays a pivotal role in shaping your ambitions and how you define success. If the Amatyakaraka is well placed and benefic, your mother may have directly or indirectly inspired your career path, or provided a secure foundation upon which you've built your professional life. You may even carry forward a family business, inherit property, or take on a career in caregiving, education, psychology, or cultural preservation. On the other hand, if the Amatyakaraka is afflicted, your path may involve healing wounds from childhood, or breaking out of inherited emotional patterns in order to establish your own identity. Because the fourth house governs real estate, land, agriculture, and vehicles, this placement may also tie your karma to land-based wealth or careers related to property and housing. You may develop an interest in real estate investment, interior aesthetics, farming, community development, or ecological work. There may be an intuitive understanding of how spaces influence people emotionally and psychologically. You might become someone who helps others feel at home, whether literally by selling them one, or figuratively by creating healing environments through design, counseling, or even spiritual guidance. People with Amatyakaraka in this house often have a rich emotional life and may have been old souls since childhood, deeply intuitive, sensitive, and emotionally aware. This sensitivity, when channeled into your professional life, makes you a powerful empath, counselor, mentor, or advisor. Your clients or audience may be drawn to your calm demeanor, your ability to listen, and the sense of emotional safety you provide. This is why you may excel in professions related to psychology, therapy, education, astrology, writing, or even spiritual healing. You carry the archetype of a nurturer, and no matter what field you choose, you approach it with a caring, receptive, and emotionally attuned spirit. Another key trait is the value you place on stability and long-term security. The fourth house is a deeply fixed house. It wants roots, not wings. You may not be someone who enjoys constant change or risk in professional life. While you might evolve gradually, you prefer stability and predictability in your work environment. Sudden shifts, relocations, or emotionally toxic workplaces can deeply unsettle you. Hence, you may stay in one field for a long time or build your own base rather than jump from job to job. You're the kind of person who, once emotionally invested in a project or role, gives it your all, because you crave not just income, but meaning. That said, this placement can also bring professional introversion. Since the fourth house is hidden from the 10th house of public status, you may not seek the limelight or worldly recognition that others chase. Your sense of accomplishment is more private, measured by how emotionally at peace you are, how comfortable your home is, or how aligned your career is with your internal values. You may shy away from public displays of ambition unless other factors in your chart support fame. You'll likely do your best work quietly, steadily, and without needing applause, fulfilling your karmic role not with spectacle, but with sincerity. The planet acting as the Amatyakaraka greatly colors this theme. If Moon is your Amatyakaraka here, the nurturing energy is amplified, and you may be drawn to professions linked with the mind, emotions, or feminine energy. If Mars is Amatyakaraka, real estate, engineering, construction, or land management become strong possibilities, but emotional expression may be more private or repressed. If Mercury is Amatyakaraka, you might write from home, teach, counsel, or even work in data analysis or finance from a home office. A Saturn Amatyakaraka in this house brings duty and responsibility to family and home. You may work to uplift your domestic foundation through tireless effort, sometimes bearing burdens silently. There can also be a nostalgic or patriotic element in your life's work. You may feel drawn toward preserving cultural knowledge, traditional art forms, community values, or even historical architecture. There may be a deep connection to your ancestry, roots, and where you come from, and honoring that may become part of your soul's work. Overall, when the Amatyakaraka finds itself in the 4th house, your professional life is inseparable from your emotional truth. You are not here to build empires merely for status or applause. You are here to cultivate a life that feels like home. Your success is rooted in how safe, seen, and emotionally fulfilled you feel. The more your career path mirrors your inner needs and emotional values, the more it blooms. When you nourish your own soul through your work, you become a safe harbor for others as well, transforming your career into a sanctuary. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet that signifies career, ambition, and the execution of your soul's karma, occupies the 5th house in a Vedic birth chart, the professional journey becomes deeply interwoven with personal creativity, intellect, and emotional fulfillment. The 5th house is not just about children and romance. It is a domain of spontaneous creation, joy, performance, learning, and expression of your unique talents. When the Amatyakaraka falls here, your career path becomes a direct extension of your heart's voice. You are not meant to walk a conventional route unless it allows you to bring your individuality into it. This is the placement of the artist, the performer, the innovator, the mentor, someone who is meant to shine in their own style and be recognized for it. This placement bestows a naturally creative intelligence. People with Amatyakaraka in the 5th are often blessed with a refined or unique ability to create something that is a fusion of talent and personal passion. Whether it's art, music, writing, teaching, acting, filmmaking, design, or any form of self-expression, you are not just meant to work, you are meant to create. The path to success is carved when you honor your inner voice and follow what brings you genuine joy. Unlike other houses that may demand structure, discipline, or endurance, the 5th house wants you to explore, to play, to take risks that come from inspiration rather than fear. If your career feels like a performance of your soul's play, you're on the right track. Another profound feature of this placement is its connection to past life merit. The 5th house is known as the house of purva-punya, the accumulated karma or blessings from past lives. When the Amatyakaraka lands here, it suggests that your present life professional success is strongly tied to efforts made in previous incarnations, especially if you had been a teacher, performer, healer, or someone who passed down knowledge or beauty to others. It may seem as though certain gifts or talents come effortlessly to you, not because you got lucky, but because your soul has done this before. Careers unfold gracefully when you access this latent reservoir of wisdom or creativity. For many with this placement, life before and after the birth of the first child may look drastically different. There's often a powerful karmic unlocking that happens through parenthood. It is not uncommon for individuals with Amatyakaraka in the 5th to discover their true path only after they become parents. A dormant talent may awaken, a life purpose may become clearer, or your career might pivot into something more heart-centered and authentic. Even if you don't have children, connecting with your own inner child, healing childhood wounds, or rediscovering childhood passions becomes key to unlocking your destiny. The 5th house also governs education, speculation, performance, and recognition. These individuals often have a flair for teaching or mentoring, particularly in subjects that involve imagination, performance, or philosophy. You might be drawn toward academic research in creative or humanistic fields, or find success in education that feels less rigid and more expressive, like teaching drama, dance, or literature. There is also a natural ability to entertain or engage an audience, so public roles, be it acting, influencing, presenting, or even spiritual teaching, may come naturally. Your visibility increases when you express yourself fearlessly and with authenticity. You're meant to be seen, not hidden. Recognition is another theme that follows you in this life. The 5th house is connected with honors, awards, and fame earned through personal brilliance. When your Amatyakaraka sits here, your work has the potential to be celebrated publicly. Whether through formal awards, fame, or simply the admiration of your peers, your karmic blueprint includes being seen and praised for what you create. But the true reward is not the applause. It is the deep inner joy that comes from doing work that resonates with your soul. This placement also lends itself well to entrepreneurial ventures. The 5th house favors risk-taking and decision-making based on intuition and inspiration. You may do well running your own business, especially if it's based on a personal talent or passion. Whether you become a content creator, designer, independent educator, or spiritual mentor, you need to feel creatively in control of what you do. You cannot be boxed into rigid systems or made to repeat routines that dull your spirit. The more your profession allows you to improvise, the more alive you feel. This is why your success may depend less on qualifications and more on your charisma, imagination, and ability to inspire others. If the Amatyakaraka is also connected to Venus or the Moon, your relationships may directly impact your career. A romantic partner may inspire your work, fund it, or collaborate with you. At the same time, your work may become your first love, and following it with devotion may bring emotional fulfillment that mirrors romantic love. Because the fifth house is ruled by joy, your career cannot be separated from your emotional landscape. If you feel unfulfilled or uninspired, you cannot fake it for long. You must love what you do, or walk away to find what you can love. The influence of the Amatyakaraka planet itself will further shape how this placement plays out. If Sun is Amatyakaraka, you may be a natural performer, leader, or teacher, someone who gains authority by expressing their creative genius. If Moon is Amatyakaraka, you may channel emotions into your art, writing, or mentorship, possibly influencing others through intuition. A Mercury Amatyakaraka here would bring writing, education, or communication to the forefront, perhaps a journalist, playwright, or counselor. Venus would indicate talent in music, art, luxury industries, or entertainment. A Mars Amatyakaraka could make you an athlete, sports coach, strategist, or action-driven leader, while Jupiter would amplify teaching, spiritual work, or creative knowledge sharing. A Saturn Amatyakaraka could ground your artistic talents into structured roles, perhaps in architecture, research, or disciplined crafts. You may also find that your destiny becomes clearer during the dasha, planetary period, of your Amatyakaraka. If this dasha coincides with the birth of your child or a reconnection to your creative roots, it will activate your true professional potential. Likewise, transits over the fifth house or from Jupiter can bring fresh insight and open doorways to recognition, joy, and creative expansion. Overall, Amatyakaraka in the fifth house promises a life where professional fulfillment comes from within, not from the rules of the world. You are here to create, to shine, to inspire. You are not meant to chase success through force but to become successful by being true to your heart. Recognition, love, and prosperity follow naturally when your work feels like play, when your profession mirrors your soul, and when your creativity becomes your legacy. Your dharma is joy, follow it, and your career will follow you. When the Amatyakaraka, the significator of one's career path and soul-appointed duties, is placed in the sixth house in a birth chart, it reveals a powerful karmic indication of service, perseverance, and a journey that involves overcoming challenges and inner discipline. The sixth house in Vedic astrology is traditionally associated with enemies, diseases, debts, daily routines, service, and conflicts. It is also the house of healing, discipline, routine, and selfless work. With the Amatyakaraka here, it indicates that your soul's professional path and growth are intimately tied to learning how to handle adversity, cultivate patience, and take responsibility for both your own well-being and the well-being of others. This is a placement that often signifies a hardworking and responsible individual who doesn't shy away from the difficulties of life. In fact, life may have been demanding right from a young age, where you were pushed into situations that required maturity, patience, or a sense of duty early on. You may have had to take on responsibilities before others your age, or had to work through personal or familial challenges that taught you the value of effort and persistence. Because the Amatyakaraka represents your professional karma, your career may not come easily. Instead, it is something that is built slowly, brick by brick, through service, sacrifice, and determination. You're likely to earn everything through your own hard work, and that process itself is what strengthens you internally. This is not a chart that points toward easy luxury or fame. Instead, your path is one of quiet service, attention to detail, and a life that is extremely active and often filled with responsibilities. The sixth house brings with it the element of karma yoga, the yoga of selfless service, and your career may often revolve around healing, problem-solving, or taking care of systems and processes that others find overwhelming. You may thrive in roles that involve organizing, managing chaos, and stepping into situations where conflict or crises are present, whether that's in healthcare, law, animal welfare, public service, NGO work, or even fields like accountancy, administration, or human resource management. You might also find yourself involved in environments where health, hygiene, or routine matters deeply, such as wellness industries, veterinary medicine, nutrition, or body-based therapeutic professions like physiotherapy or massage. Interestingly, this placement often makes a person highly efficient and excellent at managing minute tasks. You can be detail-oriented and even obsessive when it comes to structure and system. There's a deep need to feel in control of your environment, and that can extend into your workspace as well as your health routines. Your ability to plan and execute with discipline makes you capable of accomplishing long-term goals that require persistence. One of the challenges that comes with this is a tendency to overburden yourself. Since the sixth house governs the body and health, having your Amatyakaraka here shows that if you neglect your own well-being in pursuit of your goals, your body might become the first messenger of warning. Stress, exhaustion, digestive issues, or chronic fatigue can manifest if you're constantly pushing yourself without rest. Your lesson is to balance hard work with periods of regeneration. The sixth house also brings a karmic connection with animals and those in need. Many people with this placement find that their career gets a major push when they align themselves with service to other beings. This might come through working with animals, volunteering in shelters, or offering services to the underserved in society. There is something healing and spiritually purifying for you when you dedicate time to the care of others, not out of duty alone, but with an open heart. Your career may benefit greatly from including acts of service, especially those that are done without expectation. These acts activate the karmic balance promised by the sixth house and elevate your status in subtle but powerful ways. This placement also teaches you how to handle competition and enemies, both external and internal. You may face a few adversaries in your professional life, or you may often feel like you have to prove yourself to others. But in many ways, the biggest enemy you face is the inner critic. You might set high standards for yourself and find it difficult to rest unless everything is perfect. A big part of your soul's journey is learning how to coexist with imperfection and recognize when the pursuit of perfection becomes self-destructive. Learning how to be gentle with yourself is just as important as the drive for excellence. Because the sixth house also governs daily work and routine, you are likely someone who finds purpose and structure. You may not thrive in environments that are too fluid or creative without direction. You do well when you have a routine, a schedule, or a clear sense of duty. The repetition of tasks doesn't bore you, instead, it grounds you. For this reason, a 9-to-5 job or a structured environment can help you unlock your higher potential. Even if you are self-employed or creative, you'll do your best when you create a disciplined structure for yourself. Another interesting facet of the sixth house Amatyakaraka is the karmic significance of resolving debts, not just financial, but also emotional or spiritual debts from the past. Your path may involve repaying something from previous lifetimes by being of service in this life. It's not uncommon to feel like you are being asked to carry burdens that don't always feel like your own. But remember, each act of service or responsibility taken with sincerity helps in releasing the karmic load your soul is here to process. This placement can also bring about a significant transformation in your career after a period of illness, breakdown, or awakening through physical experiences. Your body is often the compass pointing you in the direction of your true work. For some, this might mean that an illness becomes the catalyst for changing paths, or that recovery from a health crisis leads to discovering a new life mission. To elevate the energy of this placement, daily rituals are essential. Whether it's exercise, journaling, mindful eating, or any practice that cultivates awareness and health, you need consistency. Even spiritual routines like meditation can help you stay attuned to your purpose and reduce internal restlessness. Working with your hands, be it through gardening, cooking, healing, or even crafting, can help anchor your energy and give you a sense of tangible productivity. Overall, Amatyakaraka in the sixth house is a powerful placement that signals a soul here to serve, to heal, and to bring order to chaos. Your success doesn't come overnight, but through sustained effort, humility, and attention to detail. The more you align your professional life with service, healing, and care, be it for people, systems, or animals, the more aligned you will feel with your dharma. Though the path may be demanding, it is also rich with meaning. Your daily work, the routines you uphold, and even the conflicts you face are all part of a sacred blueprint to bring you closer to your highest self. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet that signifies your career dharma, skills, and karmic role in society, falls in the seventh house of the birth chart, it sets the stage for a life deeply intertwined with others. The seventh house in Vedic astrology is traditionally known for partnerships, marriage, business alliances, contracts, public interactions, and the outer reflection of the self. When such a pivotal career-related planet occupies this house, the message is clear: your path to success, recognition, and fulfillment is not a solo journey. Instead, your growth is meant to unfold through unions, collaborations, and the ways in which you relate to the world at large. This placement indicates that your professional life may be shaped significantly by key relationships, especially one-on-one dynamics. You may find that your biggest career turning points happen not in isolation, but in connection with others. For many, this can literally mean that after entering a committed relationship or getting married, the energy of growth and purpose begins to unlock. The presence of a stable partner or even a business collaborator may act as the catalyst that aligns you with your true vocation. This placement also demands discernment. While the right partnership can open doors and lead to abundance, the wrong connection can delay or obscure your purpose entirely. Much depends on the nature of the Amatyakaraka planet and the overall strength and dignity of the 7th house. People with this placement tend to possess strong interpersonal skills. You may be naturally diplomatic, persuasive, or gifted in understanding what others need. These traits make you well suited for careers that involve client interaction, negotiations, consulting, sales, public relations, or law. In fact, you might find that your strengths lie not just in what you do, but in how you deal with people while doing it. Your ability to read social cues, build rapport, and form alliances makes you valuable in any environment that thrives on cooperation. Whether it's corporate business, psychology, diplomacy, or even performing arts, the essence of your dharma lies in navigating the human dynamic. It's not uncommon for individuals with Amatyakaraka in the 7th to either enter into a business partnership or find themselves gravitating toward collaborative workspaces rather than going it alone. Freelancing with clients, running a joint venture, or managing a consultancy are all possibilities that align with your soul's work. The 7th house also reflects your audience in the broader sense, the people who see, respond to, and interact with your work. Careers in media, marketing, broadcasting, or social platforms where you are constantly engaging with a public audience can also be an expression of this energy. Your path involves being seen and acknowledged by others. Your dharma is not hidden behind the scenes, but expressed openly in the world. Yet, this external focus also comes with a spiritual challenge. The 7th house, being opposite the 1st, always deals with the balance between self and other. With your Amatyakaraka here, you may sometimes swing too far in either direction, either being overly dependent on others for direction and validation, or resisting collaboration due to fears of losing your independence. This balancing act is an essential part of your soul's journey. You are meant to find your individuality within partnership, not lose it. Your career growth may require learning how to trust and delegate, but also how to assert yourself and maintain your inner compass when dealing with others' expectations. The 7th house also rules contractual obligations and legal matters, so careers involving contracts, negotiations, and mediating agreements often come into play. You might excel in careers that require objectivity, fairness, and the ability to bring two sides together, whether as a lawyer, counselor, mediator, or business agent. There is a karmic intelligence within you that understands the give-and-take nature of relationships, and when refined, this can turn you into a powerful bridge builder between people or ideas. There's also a distinct romantic or relational layer to your professional journey. The energy of the 7th house strongly indicates that love or a long-term relationship plays a direct role in shaping your ambitions and outcomes. For some, marriage might introduce you to a new network, a different lifestyle, or even the resources needed to pursue your calling. Your spouse might become your silent partner in success, or their presence may bring emotional balance that fuels your own ambitions. In other cases, working with a spouse or close partner may itself become the business, whether literally, through a joint enterprise, or symbolically, helping each other achieve shared dreams. When afflicted, this placement may show that partnership becomes a hurdle, either distracting you from your path or causing delay due to conflict, codependence, or imbalanced power dynamics. One important thing to note is that this placement often means your career evolution will be visible to others. It will be public, talked about, and perhaps even critiqued. This visibility may bring pressure, but it also keeps you honest. You cannot easily hide behind a screen or live a double life. Your actions, especially those involving others, will often be reflected back to you quickly, teaching you accountability and diplomacy in the process. You are also someone who benefits greatly from the cultivation of charm, grace, and emotional intelligence in the workplace. People with Amatyakaraka in the 7th are not meant to force their way forward. They are meant to persuade, inspire, and harmonize. Aggression and manipulation may temporarily yield results, but they also throw you off your dharmic path. Your success lies in finding that poised space where assertiveness and receptivity work hand in hand. Because the 7th house also rules long-distance travel and foreign cultures in some chart systems, your Amatyakaraka here could also mean that your professional path is tied to other countries or diverse cultures. You may find that your career opens up when you move to a new place or when you begin dealing with clients, companies, or concepts that come from outside your homeland. There's an expansive quality to this placement that encourages stepping beyond your immediate environment to engage with the broader collective. Overall, Amatyakaraka in the 7th house signifies a life path where your soul's work is deeply connected to partnership, public life, and interpersonal growth. You are here to build something meaningful in collaboration with others, whether through love, business, or public engagement. Your career blossoms when you learn the art of true cooperation, emotional intelligence, and balance. If you honor relationships as sacred vehicles of transformation rather than obstacles or conveniences, your journey will be richly fulfilling. The right people, at the right time, can open doors that your soul has long been waiting to walk through. When the Amatyakaraka, planet representing one's career significator in the Karaka system, is placed in the 8th house of a birth chart, it brings with it a deep, intense, and often mysterious path in terms of professional evolution. The 8th house, ruled by hidden knowledge, transformation, secrecy, inheritance, occultism, and sudden upheavals, casts its own flavor on the significator of career and skill. As a result, individuals with this placement are rarely on a straightforward or traditionally structured career path. Instead, they are constantly undergoing professional metamorphosis, often compelled by forces beyond their conscious control. The journey of these individuals tends to be filled with extreme highs and lows. One moment, their career may seem to be flourishing, and the next, it could face an abrupt change, whether due to external forces, personal crises, or a deep internal urge for change. This unpredictable rhythm isn't necessarily negative. Rather, it carves them into professionals who are resilient, emotionally profound, and psychologically rich. Each setback pushes them deeper into self-awareness, making them wiser and more formidable with each cycle of professional rebirth. People with Amatyakaraka in the 8th house often end up in professions where secrecy, power, and hidden layers are involved. They might work in intelligence, research, surgery, finance, especially handling others' money like investments, insurance, or taxes, forensics, crisis management, or even the occult. Their work may involve classified information, confidential consultations, or working behind the scenes. They may also thrive in careers that deal with the human psyche, such as psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, or trauma healing. For some, careers tied to death and rebirth, like mortuary services, hospice care, or even tantric practices, become avenues of immense success and transformation. Despite the nature of their work, these individuals don't always speak openly about their profession. This isn't necessarily due to secrecy alone, but could stem from the fact that their career is so complex or unusual that it doesn't fit into conventional labels. In some cases, they may feel misunderstood or prefer to keep a low profile about their work life. At times, others may not even know the true extent of their influence or power. This hidden quality adds to their mystique and often makes them powerful in subtle, unseen ways. The 8th house is also deeply karmic, and having Amatyakaraka here suggests that one's work in this life is intertwined with past life debts and unresolved themes. These individuals might feel compelled to serve a cause, complete an unfulfilled mission, or bring to light what was hidden in a previous incarnation. Their career may become a vehicle for purging deeply embedded fears, attachments, or traumas. Some may face challenging beginnings in their career, being overlooked, misused, or going through intense struggle in early professional years. But they emerge from these experiences with an unwavering determination that fuels their eventual success. Transformation is not just an external theme but an inner requirement. These individuals often find that their career demands inner alchemy. They are called to let go of old identities, evolve through losses, and reinvent themselves time and again. This process, while emotionally demanding, also gives them profound insight into human nature and the workings of fate. Over time, they become experts not just in their chosen field, but also in the area of human emotion, crisis navigation, and spiritual depth. The 8th house is also associated with other people's resources, so it's common for these individuals to be involved in joint ventures, inheritances, shared finances, or situations where they manage, protect, or uncover other people's assets, monetary or otherwise. This placement often gives them an uncanny instinct for where hidden potential or value lies. Their intuition is powerful, and they may sense opportunities or dangers before others do. In a corporate or institutional setting, they might work in compliance, fraud detection, internal audits, or crisis resolution. Their ability to navigate complex, shadowy, or dangerous territories makes them invaluable in high-stakes roles. There's often a magnetism about these individuals, an intensity that can be both intriguing and intimidating. Because their Amatyakaraka sits in a house that rules over the unseen, they often understand unspoken dynamics and unsaid truths. They are rarely fooled by superficial success or charm. This makes them excellent strategists and planners. They might not always lead from the front, but they often have a major influence over the direction of events behind closed doors. Power for them doesn't need to be flaunted, it is felt. Their career growth is seldom linear. Instead, they may experience long periods of uncertainty or invisibility followed by sudden leaps in status. These bursts of success are usually linked to their inner transformation or to some pivotal, life-altering event, such as a personal loss, illness, or major life shift. In fact, it's not uncommon for these individuals to completely change careers once or even multiple times. And yet, each time, they land on a path that feels more authentic, more aligned with their soul's deeper purpose. Emotionally, these individuals are deeply invested in their work. They do not take their responsibilities lightly, and their sense of purpose is often tied to the emotional or spiritual impact of what they do. They seek work that is not only profitable or respected, but also meaningful. In many cases, they are driven by the urge to heal, either themselves or others, through their work. This could be literal healing in medicine, psychology, or symbolic healing through storytelling, mentorship, or helping others through dark times. Because of the intensity this placement brings, there can also be challenges with power dynamics in the workplace. These individuals may encounter control issues, manipulation, or power struggles with authority figures or peers. At times, they might be tested by betrayal, office politics, or unexpected professional sabotage. Their strength lies in their ability to regenerate and rise, often more powerful than before. It's their depth of emotional experience and psychological insight that gives them the edge when others crumble under pressure. In relationships, especially romantic or marital ones, the partner may also be a source of career transformation. The spouse might be the one who introduces them to a new life path or even helps resurrect their career during a fall. Sometimes, joint ventures with a partner become pivotal to their financial and professional development. The 8th house, being a house of intimacy and shared bonds, suggests that the more vulnerable and authentic they are in their close relationships, the more they access their full power in their career. Over the years, these individuals come to embrace the mystery of their professional life. They understand that control is not always possible, and that surrendering to the process often brings the most growth. Their career becomes a spiritual journey of sorts, a way to shed illusions, reclaim personal power, and contribute to the world in a deeply transformative way. Their success doesn't lie in fame or titles alone, but in their ability to change lives, pierce illusions, and bring light into the dark corners of society. Overall, Amatyakaraka in the 8th house is not a placement of ease, but of depth, potency, and profound transformation. These individuals are destined to face challenges that shape them into powerful figures who carry wisdom forged through trial and spiritual evolution. Their careers are sacred paths, roads less traveled, veiled in shadow, yet illuminated by inner light. If they can embrace their unique journey, their impact on the world can be both lasting and life-changing. When the Amatyakaraka, significator of career and professional dharma, occupies the 9th house in a Vedic birth chart, it indicates a soul that is deeply connected to higher wisdom, spiritual ethics, and the expansion of knowledge. The 9th house in Vedic astrology is the house of dharma, fortune, bhagya, higher learning, religion, long-distance journeys, and guidance received from gurus and mentors. It is also the house that connects a person to their past life good deeds and shows how the divine supports their life path. So, when the planet that represents one's career and authority in society finds itself here, it shows a strong karmic tie to roles that involve guidance, teaching, and the transmission of higher knowledge. Individuals with this placement are often natural seekers. From a young age, there's a restlessness in them, a desire to understand the bigger picture, to connect the dots between life's events, or to explore the philosophical dimensions of human experience. They may not always know where this urge stems from, but there is often a pull towards spiritual or intellectual pursuits, especially when it comes to understanding foreign cultures, ancient systems, moral values, or divine law. Their career and life direction are deeply influenced by this innate quest for truth and meaning. This placement often signifies a karmic inheritance of wisdom. They are drawn to professions where teaching, sharing, or mentoring play a central role. Whether formally in academic institutions, or informally through counseling, spiritual guidance, coaching, or content creation, they often step into the role of a guide for others. Teaching, in some form, becomes a natural extension of their being, even if they are not always aware of it. The 9th house is a house of blessings and divine grace. When Amatyakaraka resides here, it bestows a certain element of protection in one's career. These individuals often find that things fall into place when they walk the path of truth and higher purpose. They might experience fortuitous encounters with mentors, unexpected opportunities for travel or education, or doors opening in moments of faith. Their success is rarely tied solely to hard work. It is closely linked to dharmic alignment. As long as they live and work in alignment with ethical values and spiritual intention, life tends to support them in their professional goals. This placement also often points toward careers in law, philosophy, religion, education, publishing, politics, or international diplomacy. These fields reflect the 9th house's expansive nature and its emphasis on justice, ethics, and societal structure. The individual may work in institutions that represent higher principles, like universities, spiritual centers, NGOs, or even courts of law. If the Amatyakaraka is a benefic planet like Jupiter or Venus, the inclination to teach, counsel, or inspire is even stronger. If it is a malefic like Mars or Saturn, the path might come with struggles or delays, but ultimately teaches discipline and moral responsibility through hardship. There is often a pronounced theme of travel in the lives of these individuals. Whether for education, spiritual growth, or professional opportunities, they are drawn to distant lands and different cultures. These journeys tend to be more than physical. They are transformative experiences that shape their worldview and expand their sense of purpose. The foreign lands they explore often become key catalysts in their professional journey. In some cases, they settle abroad, teach foreign students, or bring knowledge from one culture into another, acting as bridges of wisdom between different worlds. The ninth house is not only about receiving knowledge, but also about passing it on. These individuals often play the role of the student and the teacher simultaneously throughout their life. They are lifelong learners, constantly hungry for books, courses, experiences, and philosophical debates. But they are also those who others turn to for insight, comfort, and clarity. Even in a corporate setting, they may become the unofficial mentor or moral compass of their team. They might not always chase leadership roles, but their wisdom naturally elevates them to positions of influence. Their relationship with gurus and mentors is pivotal. Many with this placement report having profound connections with teachers who changed the course of their life. These mentors might arrive at key turning points and help the individual uncover their true calling. In turn, they too become such figures in the lives of others. There is often a sacred lineage or transmission of knowledge that plays out here. What one receives, one must also pass on. This cyclical nature of giving and receiving wisdom is central to their karmic path. Another key aspect of Amatyakaraka in the ninth is the strong ethical framework these individuals often operate from. They are deeply aware of what is right and wrong, not just from a societal perspective, but from a higher moral view. This can make them deeply principled individuals. They may refuse to compromise their integrity, even if it delays their professional progress. At times, this can create tension with more pragmatic or materialistic environments, but over time, their consistency and authenticity earn them respect and success. Spirituality and Dharma play a very direct role in shaping the native's profession. They are not content with simply earning money or gaining fame. They need to know that their work means something, that it contributes to a greater whole. When they feel disconnected from that higher purpose, they may experience a professional crisis. Such moments push them to realign, to leave behind paths that no longer reflect their truth, and to pursue work that speaks to their soul. These moments of course correction are essential for their fulfillment. As they grow older, these individuals often become more spiritual, more philosophical, and more deeply attuned to their life's purpose. Their later years are often filled with peace and reverence, especially if they have lived in alignment with their higher self. They often become mentors in their own right, whether through formal institutions or simply through the way they live their life. People look to them for guidance, not just because of their accomplishments, but because of the wisdom they embody. Overall, the Amatyakaraka in the ninth house creates a life path that is deeply tied to wisdom, morality, travel, and mentorship. These individuals are called not just to succeed in the world, but to do so in a way that uplifts others and contributes to the evolution of human consciousness. Their career is not merely a means of survival, it is their spiritual journey, their sacred offering, and their path to personal liberation. When they embrace this calling, their work becomes a beacon for others, illuminating the way with knowledge, compassion, and unwavering purpose. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet that signifies your career path, profession, skills, and karma related to responsibility and ambition, is placed in the 10th house of a birth chart, it marks a highly potent and karmically significant placement. The 10th house is the natural domain of karma, of action, work, public image, responsibility, and leadership. It is the house of career, authority, and worldly reputation. When your Amatyakaraka lands here, your soul's evolution is deeply linked to the path you walk in society, the status you earn, and the responsibilities you shoulder. This is not a placement for someone who will live life passively. Instead, it belongs to someone who is here to build, lead, execute, and influence. The presence of Amatyakaraka in the 10th house often creates an intense drive to achieve. Even from a young age, you may have felt an inner pressure to be someone or make your mark in a field that feels larger than life. This drive is not merely personal, it is karmic. Your soul has carried the memory of unfinished business or dharmic duties related to leadership, responsibility, and public visibility. It is common for individuals with this placement to find themselves naturally growing into their role, whether or not they were born into favorable circumstances. The 10th house is also connected with legacy, which means your actions are meant to have a ripple effect beyond your own lifetime. This placement often indicates that your profession is not just a job, it is a mission. Your dharma is tied to fulfilling societal roles with utmost sincerity, even if the world doesn't immediately reward or recognize your efforts. Over time, with perseverance, you tend to rise in your career and gain not just success but respect. The path may not always be easy. In fact, many individuals with Amatyakaraka in the 10th face serious career challenges, rivalries, or power struggles at some point in life. But these challenges are tests meant to build your resilience and refine your leadership qualities. Your karma demands that you learn the correct use of power and the true meaning of responsibility. Interestingly, this placement can also indicate a link between your professional life and your father, mentor, or some authoritative figure. You may either follow in their footsteps, inherit a family business, or work hard to surpass the legacy left by your elders. Sometimes there's a burden attached to legacy, carrying the expectations of a family name, or working to re-establish lost honor or reputation. You might feel compelled to uphold certain standards, even if you didn't consciously choose them. This sense of duty is deeply rooted and often acts as a guiding force in your decision-making process. You might find that you're often placed in roles where others look up to you or rely on your decisions. Whether you're an entrepreneur, administrator, consultant, or even a creative artist, you are expected to lead in some capacity. People with this placement naturally attract attention and often hold a commanding presence, even if their personality is otherwise quiet or introverted. The soul needs to be seen, acknowledged, and validated for the efforts it makes in the outer world. There can be a subconscious or even conscious need to attain a position where you can influence policies, ideas, or social direction. That's why many politicians, CEOs, judges, and high-ranking officials have strong 10th house placements, especially involving the Amatyakaraka. The type of career or professional path depends on the nature and dignity of the Amatyakaraka planet itself. For instance, if your Amatyakaraka is the Sun, you may take on authoritative, leadership, or governance-based roles. If it's Mercury, communication and business fields could dominate your destiny. If it's Venus, the path may be related to the arts, fashion, law, or relationships. Mars can bring military, engineering, or physical roles. Jupiter may bless you with a teaching, guiding, or philosophical career path, while Saturn can make you a disciplined administrator or someone who works within structured systems, building slow but lasting success. If it's the Moon, your public image may constantly evolve, and your emotional intelligence plays a huge role in your rise. The 10th house is also the midheaven, the highest point in the chart, symbolizing the pinnacle of one's public self. With Amatyakaraka placed here, the burden of karmic duty often means that your personal life and professional life are closely intertwined. You may find it difficult to separate your identity from your career. Your sense of worth and value is often validated by what you accomplish, how others see your contribution, or what societal position you hold. This can make you extremely driven and productive, but at times it may also create imbalance, especially if you sacrifice emotional fulfillment or personal relationships for the sake of external achievements. There's also a hidden spiritual dimension here. While the 10th house is often linked with external karma, it also points to one's highest worldly duty, what you were meant to offer to the collective. People with this placement often find great spiritual satisfaction in completing difficult tasks, solving big problems, or working for the welfare of others, even if it's done indirectly. Your inner compass is often aligned toward excellence, ethics, and accountability. If the Amatyakaraka is afflicted or in a difficult dignity, there could be struggles related to ego, misuse of authority, or an obsession with status that eventually needs correction. The soul may undergo a deep transformation at some point, realizing that power without service is empty. Social visibility plays a big role in your karma. Whether you seek fame, reputation, or simply want to be respected within your circle, your soul will be drawn toward positions where your actions are visible and can be judged or applauded by others. It's not uncommon for these individuals to experience karmic patterns where they're pushed into leadership roles even when they don't feel ready. But through this process, they gain the maturity, detachment, and wisdom needed to serve the world through their chosen path. Lastly, because the 10th house deals with societal contribution, you are being guided to align your ambitions with a greater purpose. When you act with integrity, clarity, and service-mindedness, your karmic rewards multiply. The universe supports your rise because you are fulfilling a bigger role. You are not just working for yourself, you are here to set an example, uphold values, and build something worthwhile for future generations. Overall, having the Amatyakaraka in the 10th house indicates a soul that is here to fulfill big responsibilities in the material world. The placement brings ambition, drive, and a deep connection with one's life purpose. Whether through hardships or triumphs, the individual is meant to rise and serve, leaving a legacy behind. It is not just about what you do, but why you do it, and who benefits from your work. Your highest growth comes not from the power you attain, but from how you use it to elevate others. When the Amatyakaraka, the planet that represents your professional karma, skills, and role in society, is placed in the 11th house in Vedic astrology, it indicates a soul deeply connected to collective growth, community advancement, and the fulfillment of long-standing ambitions. The 11th house governs hopes, dreams, gains, networks, and large associations. With Amatyakaraka here, your career path is not just about individual success, but about making a mark that benefits others or emerges through your alignment with people, movements, or ideals larger than yourself. This is a placement that binds your personal aspirations to the aspirations of the collective. It signifies that your soul's evolutionary path is not solitary. It is relational, woven through the connections you make and the causes you associate with. You may find that your career trajectory unfolds because of the people you know rather than simply what you do. Your karmic rewards come through relationships, social influence, and participation in broader systems like NGOs, social movements, government organizations, technology platforms, or multinational corporations. Whether directly or indirectly, your work often touches a wide range of people and may involve coordination, outreach, or public engagement. Having Amatyakaraka in the 11th house often grants a dreamlike quality to your professional goals. These dreams may seem distant in childhood, even fantastic or unrealistic, but they are destined to become real if you trust your journey and remain open to collaboration. There's often a long-standing vision that drives you, something that has lived in your heart since you were young. It could be a mission to help others, create systemic change, build a powerful network, or be part of something impactful. Unlike placements that center ambition around personal gain, your soul finds its power in collective success. You shine most when you can elevate others as you rise. The 11th house is also about gains, not just in a material sense but also in the form of emotional and karmic fulfillment. You are likely to experience substantial returns from your efforts, especially when you align your work with humanitarian or group-centric goals. Whether you work in tech, education, politics, healing, entertainment, or finance, your progress is likely to be supported by your ability to connect with people, understand group psychology, and network effectively. This placement creates opportunities through the goodwill of others. People around you will often advocate for you, bring you resources, or help open doors when you least expect it. It's very possible that friends, colleagues, or acquaintances play a direct role in bringing you your big career break or opening you up to the right opportunity at the right time. The soul's journey in this lifetime is deeply collaborative. Even if you are a lone wolf by nature, life will repeatedly show you that your true advancement lies in community, trust, and shared vision. This doesn't mean you have to always work in groups, but your ideas, services, or products are most powerful when they serve the many rather than the few. There's a karmic contract at play. What you give to the collective, it returns multifold. This placement also suggests that you may be drawn to careers that use technology, media, or public platforms as tools for outreach or change. The 11th house rules futuristic innovations, networking systems, and mass communication. It's quite common to see individuals with this placement working in industries such as IT, social media, digital marketing, startups, humanitarian work, activism, or anything that requires mobilizing people toward a cause. You are also likely to be visionary in your thinking, someone who sees patterns others don't, or has a way of connecting diverse ideas and people together into one framework. If the Amatyakaraka planet is well placed and unafflicted, your social influence can grow substantially. You might become known for your thought leadership, your involvement in impactful projects, or your ability to unify groups. Even if you are not a leader by title, you may become an influencer in your circle, someone whose guidance or support shapes the decisions of others. If the planet is afflicted, this could manifest as difficulty in building meaningful alliances or over-reliance on social validation. It might even lead to disillusionment if you give too much of yourself to the wrong people or lose your own individuality in the pursuit of community. Another profound karmic theme in this placement is fulfilling the dreams of others. You might inherit the unfulfilled aspirations of a parent, mentor, or even a past life mission. Your path might seem guided by a sense that you're doing something for others, not just out of duty, but out of a soul-level resonance with their vision. There's often a sense that your destiny is to continue what someone else started, or to bring into reality something that once only lived in imagination. This spiritual quality of the 11th house makes your work feel like it was meant to be. Financially, this placement can be very fruitful, but the gains tend to grow more consistently when you serve collective needs. You may find that the more people you help, the more you thrive. Your wealth may not just be monetary. It can also take the form of widespread respect, connections with powerful people, or access to elite networks. You could become someone who brings others together for mutual benefit, a kind of career matchmaker or movement builder. The karmic lesson here is that you rise by lifting others. Emotionally, your fulfillment often comes from knowing that your work is meaningful not just for you, but for others. You may feel a deep sense of joy when others benefit from your actions. You could be a natural mentor, guide, or supporter. Even if your official title doesn't reflect it, people may often come to you for advice, collaboration, or assistance. You are here to be a node in a larger network, a human bridge that connects people, opportunities, and dreams. Your legacy will be defined not just by what you accomplish, but by how many others rise with you. At a deeper soul level, the Amatyakaraka in the 11th house shows a past life in which you may have been isolated, or perhaps too focused on personal gain, and in this life you're being guided to discover the power of shared karma. This means that your highest growth lies not in competition, but in connection. You are not here to walk alone. You are here to weave your life into a larger tapestry of human experience. Sometimes, you may even play a behind-the-scenes role that ends up being more impactful than being center stage. That is the beauty of the 11th house. It honors contribution over ego. Overall, the Amatyakaraka in the 11th house speaks to a karmic life path rooted in social contribution, meaningful networks, and the fulfillment of collective dreams. You are here to connect, uplift, and serve through your profession. Your success is intimately tied to the people around you, the causes you support, and the vision you hold for a better future, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose lives you touch. When the Amatyakaraka, planet representing career, responsibilities, and the execution of one's karmic duties, falls in the 12th house of a Vedic birth chart, it weaves a deeply spiritual and otherworldly thread into one's professional life. The 12th house is often referred to as the house of moksha, liberation, solitude, losses, foreign lands, hospitals, monasteries, prisons, and the subconscious mind. Naturally, when the Amatyakaraka occupies this house, the soul's approach to work and responsibility is influenced by transcendence, compassion, and sacrifice. It becomes less about chasing worldly ambitions and more about aligning with a higher purpose, one that frequently involves serving others, healing, or escaping the usual boundaries of material existence. This placement tends to manifest in individuals who find their professional fulfillment in roles that are not focused on ego or public recognition. Instead, there is often a drive to work behind the scenes, help others selflessly, and find inner peace through meaningful service. These individuals may be drawn to professions in hospitals, hospices, ashrams, rehabilitation centers, spiritual retreats, prisons, or even creative and imaginative fields like filmmaking, writing, or research, places where isolation or solitude is necessary and healing or insight is offered to the world. Their work often becomes a vessel for inner transformation, not only for themselves but also for others who come into contact with them. Many such individuals may go through early confusion or lack of clarity regarding their career path. The 12th house being a house of dissolution and the unknown, there can be an internal fog or elusive quality around one's duties and worldly goals. It may take these individuals longer to find their career, or they may need to undergo some loss or surrender before their true path is revealed. Often, it is not until a major transit, dasha change, or spiritual experience that they begin to realize the depth and direction of their karma. This is because their Amatyakaraka is tied to something beyond just practical survival. It seeks meaning in the intangible, in serving something bigger than the self. These individuals are capable of immense emotional and psychological insight. Whether or not they formally work in fields like therapy or spiritual guidance, they tend to be the people others turn to when in crisis. Their calm, non-judgmental presence, developed through personal pain or solitude, can be deeply healing. If their chart supports it, say, through benefic aspects from Jupiter or Venus, they may be natural healers, counselors, or spiritual mentors. Even in corporate settings, they could be the ones advocating for mental health, ethical conduct, or employee welfare, not necessarily out of duty but from an inner knowing that work must carry a deeper resonance to be meaningful. Because the 12th house also rules foreign lands and distant places, many with this placement might find that their most fulfilling work happens abroad or in connection with foreign cultures. Whether they move away from their birthplace for work or constantly travel as part of their professional life, there is a sense of spiritual displacement that fuels their sense of purpose. They might even work for international organizations, NGOs, or institutions that deal with immigration, global health, or humanitarian aid. The more their work serves a collective or global mission, the more at peace they feel with their role in the world. A recurring theme for Amatyakaraka in the 12th house is sacrifice. These individuals often give more than they receive in professional contexts, which can lead to burnout or a feeling of invisibility if not balanced well. They may volunteer their time or work long hours without adequate compensation, simply because the cause speaks to their soul. This can be both their greatest strength and potential weakness. Learning how to set boundaries and value their own energy is important, especially if malefic influences are present. If afflicted, this placement can lead to being exploited at work, secret enemies, hidden pressures, or even working in isolation for long periods, sometimes in a literal institution like a hospital or prison. Spiritually speaking, the Amatyakaraka in the 12th house shows a karmic thread of detaching from the material realm through one's career. Their dharma is to offer their gifts to others in a way that transcends conventional definitions of success. Often they work best in roles where outcomes are not always measurable, where presence and sincerity mean more than accolades. Dreams and intuition play a large role in their decision-making. Many times, these individuals will know their next step not from logic, but from a sudden inner vision, a recurring dream, or a quiet, persistent gut feeling. Their higher self communicates strongly, especially if the Amatyakaraka is a naturally intuitive planet like Moon. When they trust this inner guidance, they often end up exactly where they need to be, even if the path seems unconventional or confusing to others. Meditation, spiritual discipline, or creative expression can become key practices that unlock their vocational path. It's also not uncommon for them to face periods of professional withdrawal or retreat, voluntarily or otherwise. At times, they may feel the need to step away from the world, perhaps after intense emotional exhaustion or a major life change. These periods, while challenging, often bring about profound inner healing and recalibration of their purpose. What emerges afterward is usually a more aligned and authentic expression of their service in the world. They're not meant to be constantly on in the traditional sense. They bloom in seasons and serve most powerfully after cycles of inward rejuvenation. On a more mundane level, this placement can sometimes point toward working with confidential information, secret investigations, research, or behind-the-scenes planning. They may be advisors, editors, strategists, or researchers who shape the outcome of big projects without being the face of them. The invisible influence they exert is often more powerful than public leadership. In politics, for example, they may serve as power brokers or speechwriters. In medicine, they may be the ones working with terminal patients, or in palliative care. In spirituality, they may operate as silent guides rather than loud preachers. Overall, the Amatyakaraka in the 12th house calls for a career rooted in compassion, healing, and spiritual evolution. It's not about climbing ladders but about descending into the depth of service. These individuals are karmically tied to helping others unconditionally, especially those who are suffering, lost, or marginalized. Whether as spiritual seekers, therapists, foreign aid workers, or creators of soulful art, their life path involves dissolving the boundaries between the self and the whole. In doing so, they fulfill not only their professional destiny but also their soul's calling. As we conclude this episode, please remember that these insights are based on Sidereal or Vedic Astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference from the tropical zodiac. Individual predictions may vary, as every birth chart is unique. It's essential to consider your own birth chart when applying these general predictions to your personal circumstances. If you'd like personalized predictions or have questions about your astrological chart, feel free to reach out to us. Stay tuned for more astrological updates. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful astrology content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to sharing more astrological wisdom with you in the future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining bright.